In our sea of 38mm single crown forks lies the Formula Belva with its prominent dual crowns and sleek 35mm stanchions. With a reputation for producing boutique, premium products in Italy, the Belva is built from the technology of Formula's surrounding forks and is littered with features and adjustments. Dual crown forks have mostly graced downhill bikes throughout the years because they provide the most fore and aft stiffness. However, modern enduro bikes have the geometry and ability to attack trails with the same tenacity as a downhill bike. The Belva is the product of this aha moment for Formula. They felt the current crop of enduro forks still lacked adequate stiffness and decided an enduro-optimized dual crown chassis was the perfect solution to deliver a better handling and stable front end. The Belva uses beautifully crafted hollow-forged aluminum crowns, lightweight double-butted 35mm stanchions, and the same lowers as Formula's Selva all-mountain fork. Unlike most dual-crown downhill forks, the steer tube is tapered, not a straight 1 1/8. The only disadvantage Belva presents over its single-crown competitors is its limited turning radius. Our turning range varied between our 3 test bikes, but was less compared to the other forks. The Belva is only offered with a 43mm offset for 29-inch wheels and comes with 170 or 180mm of travel. We tested the 180mm version, which has an adjustable axle-to-crown height between 585 and 595mm, depending on how far you slide the stanchions in the crown. This is within a few millimeters of most single-crown forks of the same travel, allowing riders to easily toss on the Belva without significantly changing their ride height. It also offers another point of adjustability beyond bar rise and headset spacers. Final chassis details include post-mount tabs for 180mm rotors with compatibility up to 220mm and a 15mm through axle. Tunability is a common theme with Formula products, and the Belva delivers various points of adjustability. A drop-in cartridge damper features an external rebound knob, a low-speed compression knob, a lockout lever, and a threshold dial to adjust the lockout. Additionally, Formula offers its compression tuning system that allows riders to swap the compression valve assembly without having to open up the fork. The valve sits on top of the damper and takes only a few minutes to replace. A creative way to give riders a heightened level of custom tunability by completely altering the damping curve, Formula ships the fork with a lighter damped linear valve and a progressive valve. 6 additional valves are available aftermarket for those seeking specific damping characteristics. Unlike some of Formula's other forks that feature individually adjustable positive and negative air springs, the Belva offers only an adjustable positive air chamber combined with a triple coil negative spring. The 3 springs get stiffer as the fork approaches full extension to help counteract topping out while maintaining smooth off-the-top performance. The air spring piston also sits on a ball joint to help reduce friction during compressions caused by chassis flex. The spring curve can be adjusted via Formula's Neopose volume reducers. The compressible foam spacers achieve the same goal as typical plastic spacers, reducing the size of the positive air chamber to increase ending stroke support. However, because they shrink in size as the fork compresses, they create a more linear spring curve. This means that adding Neopose spacers increases mid-stroke support without causing an abrupt ramp-up in support towards bottom out. Impressively, Formula has managed to keep the Belva at a fighting weight, coming in at just 2,465 grams. Which, for reference, is only 20 grams heavier than Fox's 38. Depending on where you live, you can get your hands on the Belva through a few different avenues. Here in the US, distribution is handled through BTI, so you can order a fork through your local bike shop. The MSRP does sit at $1,949, making the Belva the most expensive fork in our test. Hands down the most unique fork on our test sessions, we were curious to see if the Belva would provide new levels of performance that would outweigh its distinct looks and higher price tag.
Oh, the Formula. The Formula fork.
They hate fat people in Italy.
Yeah, back in my day, all we rode was dual crowns. So Formula's Belva was probably the coolest fork I thought we had in the test just because it is so much different. I mean, having a dual crown setup with a bunch of single crown forks was pretty unique to hop on. It's hard to beat the mental confidence you gain just from looking down and having a direct mount stem and another crown on top of your steer tube. Kind of with that said, it comes with a price tag that is premium.
Taking a look at the Formula Belva, the setup was a little bit difficult right off the bat. I'm about 230 pounds and the max supported rider weight is 200. So With the max recommended pressure being 85, I decided to go a little bit over that to try to get the sag in a usable area, and then got creative with the CTS valves they provide, which is a really cool thing. Having those was super beneficial to kind of change the overall characteristics of the way the fork rode. Right off the bat, I decided, because I'm over the recommended weight, go ahead and try the e-bike one, and landed in a pretty happy place there.
There's only 30 PSI between a 110-pound rider and a 200-pound rider. So trying to like really dial in that PSI is going to be a little tricky, to be honest. The other thing is max PSI on this is 85. I weigh 190 and I was at 82.5 PSI already. So someone that is 190, 200, or even above, this fork might not be for you, unfortunately.
Looking at the fork and it being a dual crown setup, I initially thought getting on trail it would feel burly or feel stiffer, but honestly it felt really comparable to all the other single crown 38 mil chassis forks we rode. Rides like an Enduro fork as they market it. As I got into my few runs and stuff, I did mess around with the external valve you can change. I went to the orange valve, which was just more compression support, kind of more so in your medium to high speed compressions. That helped this fork have way more support, especially on bike park trails, I thought. Just gave a good platform to push against, very similar to the SR Sun Tour, where carries good speed, you can generate speed out of corners, pumping, hitting jumps, all that stuff. Really fun in those situations. That valve kept the initial stroke and off the top really supple and really smooth, so it gave it good comfort on bike park braking bumps, just the chattery bumps between berms and jumps and all that stuff. Once I got into the rock gardens where there was just a lot more successive hits, I struggled to keep the fork calm and not dancing around as much as I wanted. I tried making the rebound quicker to help it recover more, and it helped a little, but then it took away from the ride quality that I wanted on the rest of the trails we were riding. With that said, there's a lot of valves and adjustments that you can make on this fork. So, looking at the graphs they provide, I could have put a firmer valve setting in basically to give it more control and support throughout. I think that would have helped. I think adding another one of their Neopose volume reducers that also compresses would have increased that support throughout.
Putting in through the Neopose spacers provided support in a way I didn't expect. It was a much more linear build and support than a spike, and I think they're super useful if you find yourself at the upper end of the weight range or you're just wanting the fork to feel more supported. And the climb switch sweep actually offers a bit of adjustment. You can kind of land somewhere in the full range of sweep to get a little bit more low speed out of the fork, so that worked pretty well for me. The dual crown chassis definitely inspired a bit of confidence. Having the 35 mil stanchions keep a bit of fore and aft flexed in there. So the fork was actually super comfortable over chatter and kind of the high speed braking bumps. Because the fork had such a light feeling though, I noticed my rear wheel kind of would skip out a bit. So if you're a heavier rider, this may not be the best option.
The turning radius on this was not the best. Out here in North Jersey, we have some pretty tight trails, and I don't know if this fork would do well out on the trail, but out here at the bike park, it worked really well. One of the downsides that I did not like about this fork was that it's a direct mount 160. So we had to get super creative to find the formula to make the brakes work on this. So we were running 220 rotors, and we have 60 mils of spacers. We had to double up on our adapters just to make this work and get super creative to run this fork throughout the test.
My kind of like overall impressions from riding the fork is that it costs more, it is more niche and unique, and the ride quality on trail, while it was great, wasn't a world of a difference compared to the other forks or traditional single crown forks that exist. I think that makes this fork a really cool option for somebody who looks at all the tunability it has on offer and finds that something really appealing and is okay with the price tag that it comes with. I mean, you really are riding a premium aftermarket fork with the Belva.